Hello everyone. Today we are going to continue our lecture number 2 of laws of motion class 10. So in our previous class we have and one more thing I need you to revise the previous video previous notes what you have written because to listen to this video you need to have some knowledge about the previous video, so you need to revise what you have written. Okay, fine. So in previous class what did we do? We have seen what is force and what is inertia, what is momentum. We have also seen what is mechanics. Mechanics is divided into statics and dynamics, and again dynamics is divided into kinematics and kinetics. So we have seen different types of inertia, inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. And similarly, now today we are going to learn about the laws, the 3 laws which Newton has proposed. So not today we are going to see what is the first law, and in our next class we are going to see what is the second law. So the first law is an object. See, I'm going to write Newton's first law. What is Newton's first law? Is an object continues to be in state of rest or uniform motion until some external force is applied. Now, yesterday we have discussed what is this uniform motion. Uniform motion means equal speed in equal intervals of time. So, this is our first law, and this first law is also called law of inertia. Law of inertia, and the definition of inertia and this law is same. Both are same. There is no difference. Now, what does this law? An object continues to be in state of rest or motion until some external force is applied. If you suppose a block is there, if you don't move it, if you don't apply some force, it will not move. So it will be in rest only. So if a body is continuously moving in uniform motion, suppose a car is moving at 10 km per hour, so it continuously goes on with 10 km per hour until a speed breaker comes. If a speed breaker comes, what do? We just slow down the car. So that is your external force, right? You're applying your brake, that is your external force. Fine. Note this down. And the next one is, and everything what we do today comes under this first law. What all comes, we are going to see in detail. So the first one is types of forces. Types of forces. What are these types of forces? Let us see. First one is like parallel forces. Like parallel forces. What is this like parallel forces? Let us see. Two equal or unequal forces of two equal or unequal forces of magnitude act in same direction. Here there are 3 conditions. One is, first condition is they may be equal forces. One force may be 5 Newton and another force can also be 5 Newton, or they can be, one force can be 5 Newton or other force can be 10 Newton. This is the first condition. And second condition, they need to be parallel. They need to be parallel, and one more condition is in same direction. Same direction. They need to be in same direction. First condition is equal forces or unequal forces. The second one is equal, parallel in direction and even same in direction. Clear? And this is first type of force. Next type is unlike parallel forces. You know what is like parallel forces. Now you can imagine what can be unlike parallel forces. Again, two equal or unequal forces of magnitude act in magnitude are parallel but opposite in direction. Now the first case, again it can be 5 Newton and 5 Newton, or it can be 5 Newton or 5 Newton and 10 Newton. This is the first condition, two equal and unequal forces. This is equal, this is unequal. And the second condition is they have to be parallel to each other. Parallel means what? You take your railway tracks. Railway tracks are there. Do the railway tracks meet each other? No, they do not meet. So they are called two lines which do not intersect. Are called parallel lines. So these are parallel lines. But here they have to be in opposite direction. One force is this, other force is this, or one force 5 Newton and other force is 10 Newton. They should be parallel but opposite in direction. That is called unlike parallel forces. Clear? Note it down. The next point is resultant force. Now what is this resultant force? Let me explain you briefly. Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose 5 forces are acting on a body. Now what is this resultant tells? What this resultant tells is you can assume a single force. By combining 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. All these forces combined, you can take it as a single force. Understood? All these forces combined, you can take them as a single force. This is called resultant force. Resultant means final answer. Means you are combining all these 5 forces into a single force. That is your resultant force. Now let us see the definition of this. Understood this diagram? When several forces act simultaneously on a body, then the combined effect of multiple forces is termed as resultant force. What did he tell? Several forces. Previously in the example you have seen 5 forces. So several forces means many. Act simultaneously on a body, then the combined effect of multiple forces is termed as resultant force. The single force which we took is the resultant force. Clear? And one more point, this is very important point for this resultant force. It is the vector sum of all the forces vector sum means what? Now what is a, what is a scalar and what is a vector? Scalar means only magnitude. Magnitude means what? 5 Newton or 10 Newton, anything, just numbers. This is called magnitude. And here and in vector, magnitude and direction also. In scalar we consider only magnitude but not direction, but in vector we consider both magnitude and direction. So vector sum means here you are going to consider both magnitude and direction. Clear? Note it down. Now we have a small table regarding these types of forces. Let us see what is this table. Action of force. Next diagram. Resultant force. Right? So first one is parallel forces. Now how are these parallel forces? Suppose here a block is there. This is force F1 and this is force F2. Force F1 and force F2 both are acting in same direction. You can call it as like parallel forces, right? Like parallel forces. Now what is F net equal to? F net equal to F1 plus F2. F net is equal to F1 plus F2. Now how are we tell? F net means total force. Suppose you are a block is there and you are pushing it with 5 Newton. You are pushing it with 5 Newton and your brother is pushing with another 10 Newton. So what do we do? What is the total force applied on the block? So F net is equal to 5 plus 10, which is 15 Newton. So that is how we do it. Now this is the first type. The second type is parallel unlike forces. So what is parallel unlike forces? In the previous definition we have seen. So a block will be there. One fellow will be pushing from this side, F1, and other will be pushing from this side, which is F2. Now these both will be parallel. Okay. Now F1 in this direction, F2 from that direction. So what will be F net? F net is equal to F1 minus F2. When F1 minus F2, when means if F1 greater than F2. F1 greater than F2 means when if F1 is 10 Newton and F2 is 5 Newton, obviously here you are applying more force. Obviously 10 is greater than 5, right? So 10 is greater than 5, so F1 is pushing with more force than F2. So the block will move in the direction of F1. That is what we are telling. F1 minus F2, higher minus lower. Clear? When if F1 is higher, you will get F1 minus F2, higher force minus lower force. That is why we have written F1 greater than F2, 10 greater than 5 Newton. Clear? Now this is the first case. So in second case, F net is equal to F2 minus F1, where F2 is greater than F1. Suppose F2 is 10 Newton and F1 is 5 Newton. Now where will the block move in the direction of F2, right? In the direction of F2, because 10 Newton is greater. Understood? That is why I have written F2 greater than F1. So higher force minus lower force. Clear? The next one is parallel. This symbol indicates parallel. This symbol indicates parallel. So parallel, equal and opposite force. Opposite force. Now what is this parallel, equal and opposite force? Suppose a block is there. Here you are pushing it with F1 force, which is 5 Newton. Here also you are pushing a force with F2, which is also equal to 5 Newton. Parallel, equal. Both forces are equal and opposite in direction. Opposite. One force is towards this side and other force is acting opposite. So now what will happen is F net is equal to, here both forces are equal. You can consider F1 minus F2 or F2 minus F1, your wish. So what will be 5 minus 5 Newton? 5 Newton minus 5 Newton minus 5 Newton. So F net is equal to 0. F net is equal to 0. Now this F net is equal to 0 is a most important point. Regarding F net equal to 0, we are going to discuss. A little topic is there. We are going to discuss about it now. Clear? Note this down. With you, if you remember with examples like this 5 Newton or 10 Newton, then you will remember what is what. So note it down. Fine? Okay. If suppose previously we got F net is equal to 0. If F net is equal to 0, this condition is called equilibrium. Equilibrium. What is equilibrium? Suppose you are pushing it with 5 Newton and other person is also pushing with 5 Newton. Now where will this object move? It will not move. So it will be in rest. Why? Equal and opposite forces. That is why this force is called equilibrium. If F net is equal to 0, then we call it as equilibrium. Okay. Now this, in equilibrium, these two forces are called balanced forces. If F net is equal to 0, it is called equilibrium, and these forces which are acting are called balanced forces. See, both are balanced, right? Both are equal. So that is why we are calling it as balanced forces. Suppose F net is equal to not 0. F net is not 0, then we call it as unbalanced forces. Unbalanced forces. When if F net is not equal to 0. If F net equal to not 0, then object is in motion. If F net equal to 0, object is in equilibrium. Equilibrium means object is at rest. Fine. So you have to do one more thing. Whatever I speak also you have to note it down, because all the points I cannot write them on the board. So some points I'll just speak, you have to write down in your notes. So equilibrium means object is at rest. Clear? Now F net is not equal to 0 and those forces are called unbalanced forces. And if F net not equal to 0, then object is in motion. Clear? Note this down. Now for suppose there is a block and you are applying 10 Newton of force. Now I want to bring this block into equilibrium. Equilibrium is what? Body is at rest. Now how to bring this object into equilibrium? Another force with same magnitude but opposite in direction. Another force, this is force A, this is force B. So first I had only 10 Newton. I wanted to bring this block into equilibrium. So what did I do? I bought another force, same magnitude. Magnitude means 10 Newton but opposite in direction. So you can note a point. A system can be bought into equilibrium if it is balanced with equal and opposite force. Equal and opposite force. A system is this block. System is this whole block. Can be brought into equilibrium. Means rest. If it is balanced with equal and opposite force. So suppose our first force is acting in this direction. So what is the opposite direction? This side. So equal and opposite force. Clear? Note this down. Fine. The next topic is very important. This will be coming in your 11th class and 12th class also. So this is our most important topic. Rotating effect of force. Rotating effect of force. Rotating effect of force. Now what is this rotating effect of force? So let me give an example. Suppose a door is there. Your door. You have a small attachment here to the wall. If this is your wall, this small this is attached to the wall. This element is called hinges. So the door is attached to the wall. That attachment is called hinges. So if so just imagine this is your door, right? This is your door. If I want to open, what will I do? I will push from outside, means the outer edge. So I'll just open it like this. But if I am applying the force here, so it is going easily. So if the same force, if I apply at the hinges, if I apply the same force at the hinges, will the door move? No. So why? Because the distance, if distance is more for the application of force, then the object moves without any effort. Right? If I apply force at the hinges, it won't move that easily. Understood? That is what rotating effect of force is. Now here you are closing the door like this. Here one axis is there. So with respect to the axis. Axis means the line is there, right? The hinges are there. That line is the axis. So it is rotating. So it is called axis of rotation. rotation. This is very important point. So along, it is rotating along the axis. So this axis is called axis of rotation. Clear? Note this down. One more example is, suppose you have a screw like this. You have a wrench. You know what is a wrench, I guess? You know this. So what will you do? You will put it to the head. This is called head, right? Head. You will put it to the head and you will rotate. You will pull it, right? You are going to pull it. If this is the nut, what you are going to do? You are going to tighten it. So what? You will spin it, right? You will turn like this. So that is what, this is also an example for rotating effect of force. One example is your door, and other example is your nut with your wrench. You are tightening it. This side is tightening and this side is loosening it up, right? Understood? Okay. Now the next term is moment of force. Moment of force. Now what is this moment of force? Let us see what is this moment of force. The rotating effect or turning effect of force about a fixed point or fixed axis is called moment of force or torque. Torque, the symbol is this. Torque symbol is, in cursive handwriting you write T, right? So that T is the symbol for torque. This symbol is called tau. T-O-U, tau. This symbol is called tau. Now what is the formula for, now let us see the definition. The rotating effect or turning effect. Rotating effect. In your door, what is happening? Door is, the axis is rotating. So you are pushing the door, it is rotating. So rotating effect or turning effect. The screw and your wrench, you are turning it of force about a fixed point or fixed axis. In the door you have seen the fixed axis. This axis, this is your fixed axis, is called moment of force or torque. The force applied here, applied in the fixed axis, is called torque. Simply you can call it like that. The force applied at the hinges about the fixed axis is called torque. Now what is the formula? Tau is equal to force into distance. Tau is equal to force into distance. Tau means torque. Tau is equal to force. F means force, and D is equal to distance between the fixed axis or fixed point. Distance between fixed axis or fixed point to the line of action. Now what is this line of action? D is the distance between the fixed axis or fixed point to the line of action. Now what is this line of action means? Line of action means you are applying force, right? You are applying force with this wrench. So this line through which you are applying force, line of action. This is your nut, this is your wrench, you are turning it. So this line through which you are applying force, this line through which you are applying force is called line of action. Understood? This is what called line of action. So distance between the axis, distance between this axis and the line of action. This is the axis and line of action. Axis and line of action which will be perpendicular. I hope you are able to see this. Just let me draw once again. This is your nut, right? And this is your wrench. This is your wrench. This is your axis. And this line is line of action. So this both axis and line of action are perpendicular. Perpendicular means angle equal to 90 degrees. Clear? Angle equal to 90 degrees. Clear? Understood what is torque now? Fine. The next topic is couple. Now what is this couple? Don't get confused with couple and torque. Little bit will be confusing, but try to understand. Now let us see what is couple. C-O-U-P-L-E, couple. Couple means two equal and unlike parallel forces applied simultaneously at two distinct points constitute a couple. Now, two equal and unlike parallel forces applied simultaneously at two distinct points constitute a couple. Now, in torque, force is applied at only one point. But in couple, let me give you an example. Your tap is there, water tap. Tap is there, like this, tap. So what do? You don't just spin the tap with only this finger. You need to apply both the fingers, right? You are going to spin it like this. You don't just use your two fingers, right? You have to use both thumb and your two fingers to open the tap or close the tap, right? To open the tap or close the tap, you need to use all three fingers or whatever it is. Your thumb and your other fingers, you have to use it. So one force is this side, one force you are using with your thumb and the other force with your other fingers. So two forces, one force is acting in this direction, other force is acting in this direction. So two equal parallel forces, two equal unlike, so one is going in this direction, one is going in this direction, other is going in this direction. Two equal unlike parallel forces applied simultaneously at 2 points. You will hold the tap at two different points, right? Two different points. Distinct means different. Distinct means different. Clear? Constitute a couple. Constitute a couple. Understood? Now, there are some important points for this couple. The first point is line of action. Line of action do not coincide. Line of action, you know what is line of action? The force through which you are turning it. So line of action do not coincide. Coincide means they do not meet. The second point is it does not produce any translational motion. Translational motion. Now what is this translational motion? Translation motion means linear motion, straight motion. So it does not produce any if you're turning a tap, are you going forward or backward? No, you are just turning it, you are just rotating it. That is what is it does not produce any translational motion. Clear? Now the third point is rotating effect of the couple. Rotating effect of the couple is movement of couple. Rotating effect of the couple is called movement of couple. Clear? Understood? Now I already told you the first example. First example is turning of a tap, and the other example is you have a screwdriver and you have a screw. What do? You turn it. Screwdriver is there and you are going to turn it. So that is one example. Screw and screwdriver. Screw and screwdriver. First example is closing or opening the tap. Opening tap. Second example is screw and screwdriver. Understood? Now what is the formula of movement of couple is? Movement of couple is force into perpendicular. This symbol indicates perpendicular distance between force into perpendicular distance between line of action. Force into perpendicular distance between line of action. Now the SI unit is force into, the SI unit of force is Newton, and per distance is meter. So Newton meter. So CGS unit is, and in CGS unit force unit is dyne, and in CGS system distance unit is centimeter. So in SI unit it is Newton meter, and in CGS it is dyne centimeter. Clear? Now, clear with this? Now let's see the direction of couple. Direction of couple. Direction of couple. Now what is this direction of couple is? One is clockwise. One is clockwise and other is anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. Now clockwise means what? How does your clock move? 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is your clockwise motion. This is your clockwise motion. Now anti-clockwise means opposite. Opposite means like this. This is clockwise and this is anti-clockwise motion. Now let us take the tap which you have taken as your example. This is your tap of some distances. Now how if you want to move clockwise, how will you move? You are applying force downwards and other force is going upwards, right? These four fingers are going downwards and the thumb is going upwards. So one force is downwards, other force is upwards. You're spinning it like this, right? Clockwise. Clockwise. This is clockwise. So F1, F2. So this clockwise we are going to take as negative. Negative in direction. This negative. So clockwise motion we are going to take it as negative, and anti-clockwise again the same tap is there. Same tap S is there. You are going to how we are going to move? You are going to move anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise means like this. Anti-clockwise means reverse of clockwise. So you are going to move like this. So one force is downwards, other force is going up. So one force is down, other force is up. So F1 and F2. Here you are going to take the direction as positive. This positive and negative are called sign convention. Sign convention. This considering of negative direction and positive direction is called sign convention. Now, then understood this? Clockwise. Clockwise means how does your time move? 1, 2, 3, 4. Clock moves in this direction. Anti-clockwise reverse of your clockwise direction. Remember any one. You either remember clockwise or anti-clockwise. Then you won't get confused. Clear? Okay. The next topic is application of torque. Application of torque. In application of torque, first application is your gear. Gear. In your cycle you have your gear. How will that look? Means this is your gear in your cycle. One more small one will be there in the front and a chain will be there, right? Chain will be there. So this is called a gear. This one is called a gear. Now this irregularities are called teeth. Teeth of the gear. Like we have our teeth, gear will also have some teeth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there may be number of gears. So number of teeth. This will also have teeth. So these are called gears. This is even in your bike. Here in your cycle you have just 2 gears. 2 gears. So in your bike you may if you have an idea about your bike, you will have 5 gears. Clear? So the gears will be attached like this. This is your first gear, second gear and third gear, fourth gear and again fifth gear. So gears are attached like this. So this is the structure of a gear. A gear will have teeth. These irregularities are called teeth of the gear. Clear? Now the second application is seesaw. Second application is seesaw. Now what is a seesaw? In your playground you may be having this. There is a small fulcrum. This is called fulcrum. Fulcrum. One person will sit here, other person will sit here, and you play like this. One will go up, one will come down, one will go up, and other will come down. So this is called a seesaw. Here also this is also application of torque. Clear? The next one is steering wheel. Next one is steering wheel. Now how this steering wheel is an application for your torque. Suppose your car is there, and your bus is there. Which has a bigger steering wheel? Obviously bus has a bigger steering wheel, right? Bus has a bigger steering wheel, but a car has a smaller steering wheel. Now for which steering wheel you have to apply more force? Your steering wheel of your bus is big, so you have to apply more force to take a turn. More force. And for your car you can just rotate it easily, so less force. More force if your steering wheel is big, and less force if your steering wheel is small. That is your third application of your application of torque. Clear? Now the next one is principle of moments. Principle of moments. Now what is this principle of moments? Suppose here you take a fulcrum. Here some person is sitting. Suppose F1 is sitting and F2 is sitting. F1 and F2 are sitting. So this is F1, this is F2. Suppose F1 is greater than F2 in weight. F1 is a his weight is some 50 kg. F1 equal to 50 kg. Sorry, 50. F1 means force, right? F1 is 50 Newton and F2 is some 25 Newton. Now where will the seesaw go? So this is going to come down and this is going to go up, right? This F1 is going to come down, F2 is going to go up. Why? Because F1 is applying more force and F2 is applying less force, so it is going up. Now what is happening here is the distance from F1 to this fulcrum is D1 and distance from F2 to the fulcrum is D2. Now this force is going like this. Force is going rotating like this. This force is coming down like this. So it is coming down like this. Now which is clockwise, which is anti-clockwise? Which is clockwise? This is clockwise. This is clockwise and this is anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. Force is going up, so the direction will be like this. Force is coming down, so the direction will be clockwise. So now what principle of movements is going to tell is anti-clockwise force is equal to clockwise. One second. Anti-clockwise moments. This is not force. Anti-clockwise moments equal to clockwise moments. Now moments, what do we know formula? Force into displacement. Force into distance or displacement, whatever. Force, and which is going anti-clockwise is F2. So F2 into the distance is D2 equal to clockwise, which is going clockwise, F1. So F1 into D1. F1 is greater, so F1 is coming down. So they are going. So this is clockwise. F2 is going up. We are going to consider this is as anti-clockwise. See. So what? This is the condition for. This is the condition for principle of movements. Principle of movements means this: anti-clockwise movements is equal to clockwise movements. So anti-clockwise, which one is going? F2 is going. So F2 into distance, force into distance, and which is going clockwise? F1 into distance. So this is the principle of movements. Fine. Let us stop till here, and to the next class, get ready and be revised of the lecture 1 and lecture 2. We are going to start Newton's second law. Okay, fine. Thank you.